What I'm about to reveal is not for the faint of heart. I remember the first time I realized I was no longer in control. Not of myself, not of what I had invited into my life. The room was quiet, yet every shadow seemed to twitch with intention. At exactly 3 a.m., I felt a presence I could neither see nor fully comprehend, but it was watching, waiting. I had thought I was safe, that my rituals were under my command, but that night taught me otherwise. Every chant I had whispered, every secret I had kept, every pact I thought I understood, was twisting against me. The air thickened, the silence grew louder, and I knew then that I was in the wrong place at the wrong time. I tried to resist, to shut it out, but there is a force that does not knock. It enters quietly, slowly, and by the time you notice it, it is already within. I saw things, visions that defied logic, shapes that moved beyond reason. They whispered truths I wasn't meant to hear, confessions I wasn't prepared to make. And in that moment, I understood the terrible cost of curiosity, the weight of secrets kept in the dark. I confess now, because I have no choice, I cannot carry it alone anymore. I had aligned myself with powers I thought I could bend, yet it was I who became the instrument of their will. Names, faces, events, all haunted me that night. Every misstep, every manipulation, every hidden action came back, mirrored in something alive, something patient. And when the first light of dawn barely touched my room, I realized that the boundary between what I had sought and what had sought me had vanished. There are things in this world, things most would dismiss, laugh at, or fear in whispers. But when you meet them at 3 a.m., when your own voice betrays your will, when the air moves as if it carries a message just for you, you understand the truth too late. I lived it, and I survived only because I walked away, leaving pieces of myself behind. Yet the questions remain. What did I summon? What did I release? And who truly holds the power now? I confess to you now, because if I don't, no one else will. What I witnessed at that hour of reckoning is beyond comprehension, but it is real. And the moment you think you are safe, remember this: some doors once opened do not close. And I'm not talking about demons hiding under your bed. I'm talking about the moments when the world seems silent, yet the unseen moves in ways you cannot comprehend. While you sleep, decisions are being made, not by you, but around you. I watched it happen. I felt it in the room, like an invisible hand shifting pieces I couldn't see. It wasn't just about fear, it was strategy. Plans that had been whispered into ears long dead now found their way into mine. I realized too late that what I had laughed at, what I had dismissed as superstition, was an active force shaping my every step. At 3 a.m., the veil thins. The prayers that go unanswered, the thoughts you shrug off, they are not random. I saw it clearly. The enemy moves differently when the righteous are unaware, slipping through cracks that faith alone does not guard. I saw spirits repositioning, energies bending, alliances forming in the shadows, and I could do nothing but bear witness. I confess, I participated without knowing it. Every small compromise, every doubt I entertained, became a foothold. And in that hour, when most are sleeping, I understood the war was not around me, it was inside me. And if I had not fought back, if I had not opened my eyes fully, I would have lost more than sleep. I would have lost my soul. After years inside the world of witchcraft, walking paths I can't undo, I learned truths most people never see. I've guided Christians through attacks that even seasoned pastors barely understand. I've witnessed what hides behind smiles, what moves in shadows, and what people unknowingly invite into their homes. What I'm revealing comes not from theory or stories I've heard. It comes from encounters I lived, battles I survived, and confessions I had to make to save myself. I've seen spirits manipulate the weak, tempt the strong, and disguise themselves as harmless. I've seen prayers that seemed answered, only to twist into chains of despair. And I know how easily ordinary lives can become the stage for spiritual warfare nobody talks about. When I speak of 3 a.m., of rooms alive with unseen eyes, of whispers that pierce the mind, this is not exaggeration. I have been in that room, and I can testify. What happens in those quiet hours leaves marks you cannot ignore. The stakes are higher than most imagine, and the lessons I carry are not just warnings. They are keys for survival, for protection, for understanding. The first time I truly saw it, I thought I was imagining things. I had stayed up, quietly observing, thinking I could control what I didn't understand. But the moment I looked into the dark corners of my room, I saw movement, not human, not animal, something else. Shadows stretched unnaturally, almost as if they were alive. They whispered, not in words, but in thoughts that weren't mine. And when I tried to pray, I realized the usual words of protection felt hollow, as if something else was listening, waiting for me to falter. I didn't sleep for days after that. The second time, I was braver, or perhaps more foolish. I called upon prayer warriors I trusted, thinking together we could confront what I had invited into my life. But even their voices trembled. A force answered us, a presence so intense that the room seemed to vibrate, the air growing thick with urgency. It showed me visions of things I'd done unknowingly, things I had ignored. And in that moment, my faith wavered. I realized that some forces don't retreat when confronted, they reveal. They make you question everything you thought you knew about safety, about the unseen. The third time, I almost couldn't bring myself to tell anyone. It was the night I understood that I had become a participant in something far bigger than myself. The veil between what is allowed and what is forbidden had thinned. I saw names, faces, events, and I recognized that some of them were connected to me, to my past actions, to choices I had made in ignorance. I wanted to scream, but my voice was stolen, and when the clock struck 3 a.m., I finally understood. I had glimpsed the machinery of a war that wages silently, in shadows, every night. I confess this now because the weight of silence is unbearable. I had aligned myself with powers I thought I could command, but they commanded me instead. Every prayer I whispered, every ritual I performed, every secret I kept was feeding a force I could not name. And the truth? Even now, I don't know if I've escaped completely. Sometimes when the house is still, I feel it again, watching, measuring, waiting. And there is one night, one experience that I can never forget. A night that changed everything. It revealed not only what I had unleashed, but what was coming next. What I saw that night is something I almost couldn't share, until now. And when I tell it, it will make you question everything you think you know about prayer, protection, and the battles fought beyond sight. Many Christians go through life blind to what happens at 3 a.m. They pray, they work hard, they live faithfully. But there is a silent hour when the spiritual realm shifts, when unseen forces move in ways most never notice. I didn't believe it at first. I thought the attacks I faced, the sudden financial setbacks, fractured relationships, recurring nightmares, were coincidences. I blamed stress, bad luck, even myself. But it was all connected, and I discovered it in the most terrifying way. One night, as the clock struck 3 a.m., I woke in a cold sweat. The room felt alive, the shadows stretching in ways they shouldn't. Every thought, every regret, every hidden sin I had buried in the dark, it was being reflected back at me. I felt whispers, soft yet impossible to ignore, and I realized the enemy had access to my weakness. Dreams that once inspired me became chaotic, relationships began to fracture inexplicably, and even my prayers seemed to falter. That hour, the hour most people sleep, was not silent. It was alive, and it was hunting the unprepared. Desperate, I turned to prayer like I had never done before. I could feel my own voice shaking as I called out, asking for protection, for clarity, for strength. I began fasting and studying the Word with a new intensity, understanding for the first time that spiritual warfare isn't just a metaphor. It's real, precise, and relentless. I cried, I confessed, I broke agreements I had unknowingly made through fear or ignorance. That hour became a battlefield, and for the first time I realized that prayer was my weapon, but only if I used it with intention. By the end of that week, things began to shift. Dreams returned to peace, finances stabilized in ways I could not explain, relationships started to mend. But the most important revelation I gained is this. 3 a.m. is a spiritual tipping point. Every careless thought, every ignored prayer, every lapse in vigilance can be exploited. Those who pray, watch, and guard that hour can claim breakthrough, while those who ignore it risk the unseen forces influencing their life without their knowledge. If you want to protect your 3 a.m. hour and shield your life from unseen attacks, comment fire now. This is the moment when revelation meets action, the hour when your faith becomes a fortress. I need you to understand something few realize. Many Christians pray, many fast, many call on the name of God, Yet most of it happens during hours when the spiritual atmosphere is quiet, safe, familiar. But there is a time when the veil thins, when the world of flesh and the world unseen intersect with extraordinary intensity, and that hour is 3 a.m. I've seen it with my own eyes. Spirits gather, not random, not aimless. They organize, they strategize, they move with purpose, waiting for believers to sleep, waiting for prayers to weaken, waiting for doors to open in ignorance. Entire plans of blessing, protection, and breakthrough can be blocked in silence by forces invisible to most, forces that measure every heartbeat, every breath, every whispered word. And yet, I also saw something miraculous, proof that the power to shift everything is within reach. One prayer, one declaration, offered at the right moment, can turn the tide. A believer fully awake, fully alert, fully armed in faith can dismantle strategies that took years to build in the unseen realm. I've seen breakthroughs that seemed impossible, victories that looked miraculous, but they always happened when the person recognized the timing, recognized the hour, recognized the urgency. I will confess something else. What I learned the hard way. I had underestimated this time. I thought my knowledge of the unseen, my mastery of certain rituals, gave me protection. But I was blind. I ignored the most dangerous moments, thinking I was untouchable, thinking my control was absolute, and I paid the price. Doors I thought I had closed were flung open. Alliances I believed I controlled turned against me. And it wasn't just spiritual, it began to affect everything. Sleep, peace, relationships, even my sense of reality. There is one 3 a.m. moment, more dangerous than any other, and it's a moment most people pass through every night without even noticing. A second too long in ignorance can be devastating, yet a prayer, a declaration, a guarded heart can transform it into the very moment God uses to reverse curses, to break chains, to release breakthroughs. I will reveal exactly what that moment is and how to stand firm against it, but you must be ready to see the truth as I saw it. The truth that comes at 3 a.m. is raw, unfiltered, and capable of shaking the foundations of everything you thought you knew. This is where the battle is fiercest, where confessions are most necessary, where revelations strike hardest, and where salvation becomes most urgent. There is a moment, one brief, almost invisible window when everything aligns. I've lived through it, and I confess it shook me to my core. The spirits I once thought were mere shadows revealed their full intent. Every lie I had believed, every temptation I had ignored, every secret pact I had made came alive in that hour, and I realized something terrifying. Knowledge alone is not protection. Awareness alone is not defense. Only action, grounded in faith and deliberate prayer, can shield you. I saw the strategies unfold like a map, each spirit moving to block blessings, to intercept prayers, to manipulate circumstances in ways no human hand could touch. And yet, in the chaos, I witnessed what seemed impossible. A single declaration of truth, spoken at the right moment, could unravel their plans, scatter their ranks, and release what had been held hostage for years. I must confess the mistakes I made. I had relied on rituals, on knowledge, on my own ability to control unseen forces. I ignored warnings, thinking I was untouchable. I believed I could walk that line without consequence. But I was wrong. Every sleepless night, every whispered chant, every shadowed moment became a battlefield I was losing without knowing it. And when the hour struck, when the full weight of their gathering pressed against me, I had nothing but fear. Yet that fear led to revelation. I realized that prayer, when combined with awareness, is not just defense, it is offense. It is a weapon. The right words, the right posture, the right timing, and suddenly the unseen realm bends, yields, and releases what was stolen, blocked, or held back. I began to see victories unfold, not by chance, not by luck, but by understanding the moment, by recognizing the hour when darkness tries its hardest. There is a lesson here, one I wish I had learned sooner. The most dangerous hour is the hour when believers are unaware, when complacency reigns, when the world seems quiet. That is the hour they strike. And the confession I make now is this: I lived too long in ignorance, and the cost was higher than I ever imagined. But there is hope. For anyone who chooses to wake, to pray, to stand firm, the very hour that was meant to bind you can become the hour that sets you free. And now, I am ready to reveal the exact moment, the signs, the prayers, the defenses that can protect you in this unseen battle. What I'm about to share is not theory. It is testimony. It is confession. It is revelation. It is the difference between falling into the trap I did and turning the tide completely. Now you know what happens when curiosity meets power you cannot control. You've seen the glimpse of what waits when the world sleeps, when the hour is quiet, but the unseen is wide awake. But this is only the beginning. The most dangerous hour, the one that tests faith and courage beyond imagination, is still coming. Every night, when the clock strikes 3 a.m. I survived, but not without cost. I left pieces of myself in that darkness, secrets I will carry forever. And yet, knowing this truth, I have also learned how to shield myself, how to guard my nights and my mind. What I share with you now is not just a warning, but a key. A way to protect your spiritual hours, to claim strength in the moments others overlook. You must stay alert. Watch for the signs, recognize the whispers, and never assume you are untouchable. Some forces are patient. They wait until we lower our guard. And if you ignore them, they will shape your nights, your prayers, your very life, in ways you cannot undo. Share this with someone under attack. Protect your hours. Stand firm in the knowledge that what you've glimpsed tonight is real, and awareness is the first weapon. Comment protected if you're claiming your 3 a.m. breakthrough tonight. Subscribe, turn on notifications, and prepare. Because the next revelation will take you even deeper, and it may change everything you thought you knew about spiritual warfare.